Two women, one broken down apartment, a landlord knocking with demands, and not a single penny left between them. What began as a desperate situation spiraled into something so unexpected, so hauntingly real. It will stay with you long after this video ends. Stay with me till the end. This story will break your heart and open your eyes. It all started on a stormy evening in November. The wind outside howled like it carried the voices of the forgotten. Inside a crumbling apartment in an old building on the edge of the city, Mina sat with her head in her hands, trying not to cry. She was 29, tough on the outside, soft inside, and right now completely lost. Across the room sat Layla, quiet, thoughtful, with sadness clouding her eyes. They weren't friends. Just two women who ended up renting the same space because it was cheap. Life had dealt both of them heavy hands. Mina had fled an abusive home. Layla had been fired from her job 3 months ago and was drowning in rejection letters. That day, their landlord, Mr. Kadir, banged on their door, 3 months' rent, or you're out by Friday. They didn't even have 300 rupees. Between them, Mina slammed the door shut, trembling. Layla looked at her, voice low but steady. We can't ignore this anymore. And with that, their long, painful journey began. Mina hadn't shared her story with anyone before. Not even Layla. But something about that night cracked her open. My stepfather used to lock me in the attic when I didn't obey. She whispered. I ran when I turned 22, never looked back. Layla's heart tightened. She thought her story was sad, getting laid off after 7 years of loyalty to a job, losing her apartment, ending up here. But Mina's pain, it was deeper. Older. They shared some bread Layla had hidden away. The light bulb in the room flickered. Cold wind crept through the broken window. They didn't sleep much that night. The pressure of losing the only shelter they had made everything heavier. The next morning, Layla took her resume and went out in the rain. She knocked on doors, begged to be seen, offered to work for food if nothing else. Mina walked the streets. 2. She cleaned tables at a tea stall without being asked for money. She lied and said she'd just moved in from another city. The owner gave her some coins. That night, she brought home 2 boiled eggs and Layla had a half loaf of dry bread. Short of rent. Still no hope. And the landlord came again. Mr. Kadir wasn't the usual landlord. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. But his silence was heavier than shouts. He simply said, tomorrow's your last chance. That night, the silence between Mina and Layla stretched long, until Layla said something that shocked them both. What if we offered to clean the entire building? Maybe he'd lower the rent? Mina blinked. He doesn't seem like the helpful type. We have to try. The next morning, Layla stood before Mr. Kadir with trembling hands. He looked at her, emotionless. You want to work for rent? Yes, anything. We'll clean the stairways, take out trash, even fix the garden. He paused, then slowly nodded. Let me think. Days passed. No word. The women cleaned anyway, hoping it would matter. Then, one afternoon, Mr. Kadir arrived with a bag of groceries. He didn't say a word. Just placed the bag down and left. Mina fell to her knees and wept. But kindness can sometimes carry conditions. A week later, Mr. Kadir knocked again. This time, he wasn't alone. Another man stood beside him, wealthy looking, smirking. You girls want to stay? Mr. Kadir said, then entertain my guest. Layla's eyes went wide. Mina stood between them, fists clenched. No. Mr. Kadir shrugged. Then leave. Tonight. They packed what little they had. Stepped into the street with no idea where to go, but Layla had one idea left. A distant cousin in a nearby town. She hadn't spoken to her in years, but she dialed anyway. The voice on the other end answered and didn't hang up. That night, they rode a bus for 5 hours. They arrived at a modest house with a warm light on the porch. The woman who opened the door had soft eyes and a kind smile. Layla hadn't even finished explaining before she pulled them inside. Asterisk in that little house. They found what they didn't know. They were searching for peace. Layla's cousin, Sana, gave them food, beds, and something else. Encouragement. She helped them apply for jobs, offered emotional support, and reminded them they were not alone. Mina, for the first time in her life, picked up a book and started writing her story. Layla, with her strong voice and sharp mind, began volunteering at a community center, helping other women facing tough times. Weeks turned into months. One day, Mina got a call from a small publishing company. "We read your blog. We want more." Layla received a job offer from the community center itself. They weren't rich. They still had tough days, but they had safety. They had dignity. And most of all, they had each other. Asterisk, the days passed slowly, but they weren't empty anymore. Mina and Layla began cooking together, taking long walks through the nearby park, and talking about everything, the past, the pain, the small joys. That made them feel alive again. One evening, while Mina was sipping tea under the sky, she looked at Layla and said quietly, "You saved me." Layla smiled gently. "No, you saved me too." We saved each other. Their bond wasn't based on shared interests. It was something deeper, two broken people finding strength in each other's silence, comfort in each other's presence. Sana noticed it too. "You two are stronger than you think," she said one morning as she made breakfast. "The world tried to crush you, but look at you, you're still standing." That night, Mina posted her first official blog entry titled, "Two Women, One Landlord, and What Came After." She wrote with honesty about fear, courage, and how survival doesn't mean living. It means finding reasons to live. By the next morning, her inbox was full. Strangers thanking her, sharing their own stories. One woman wrote, "I was about to give up. Then I read yours. Asterisk. Just when things were getting better, the past knocked again." One afternoon, while Mina was returning from a nearby store, she saw a man standing across the street. His face was familiar, too familiar. Her stepfather, frozen in her tracks. All the fear came flooding back. She turned and ran. Bursting into the house, she locked the door behind her. Layla found her curled up, shaking. "He's here," Mina whispered. "He found me." Layla didn't hesitate. She called the police, gave a full report, and stood guard all night while Mina wept quietly. The next day, Sana took them to a local women's protection center. They helped Mina file a restraining order, and within days, the police confirmed her stepfather had left town, but the fear didn't vanish. Mina couldn't sleep for nights. She was quiet, distant. It was Layla who pulled her back. One night she gently took Mina's hand and said, "He doesn't get to steal your peace again." Not anymore. Those words stuck. Like a seed planted in dark soil. Asterisk 3 months later, Mina stood before a group of young women at the community center, reading her blog aloud. Her voice shook at first, but as she continued, something changed. She stood taller, her words steadier. The room was silent when she finished. Then a girl in the back raised her hand. "I want to write too." That moment changed everything. Layla and Mina started a weekly support circle for women in crisis. They called it Second Sunrise. Women who had no one, nowhere to go, no hope came, sat, listened, and slowly began to speak. Mina wrote a guidebook. Layla created a helpline. With Sana's help, they applied for a small grant. Soon, the small living room was full every Saturday. Evening filled with laughter, tears, and stories no one else wanted to hear. They were no longer just survivors. They were leaders. Asterisk. One day, months later, a letter arrived addressed to Layla and Mina from Mr. Kadir. Sana opened it nervously and read it aloud. You don't know me anymore, but I read Mina's story online. I'm ashamed. Not because you wrote about me, but because it was all true. I wasn't a man then. I was a coward. I'm selling the building. I've left the country. I hope you found peace. Forgive me if you can. The letter ended there. Mina read it again in silence. Then slowly, she placed it in a drawer and closed it. Layla asked, "Are you okay?" Mina nodded. It's not about him anymore. It never was. The past had scarred them, but it didn't define them. And now they had a future. Asterisk, a year had passed since they left that broken apartment. Now, Layla stood at a podium in a city auditorium, speaking to over 200 people. She was being honored for her work at Second Sunrise. Mina watched from the front row, her heart full. When Layla stepped down, she looked at Mina and said softly, "I wouldn't be here without you." They hugged, quietly. Fully later that night, as they walked home under the stars, Mina whispered, "I used to think my story was over, but now I know it just had a hard beginning." Layla laughed. "And a powerful middle? And still more to come?" Mina smiled. Their story wasn't just about pain. It was about hope, courage, and finding light in unexpected places. They had nothing once, no money, no home, no voice, but now they had everything that truly mattered. Asterisk, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Asterisk.